It is the second hour of the night. You are standing on top of a stone wall in Northumberland, and the wind coming from the north is the kind of cold that stops being a sensation and becomes a fact about the world. Could you survive a week as a Roman auxiliary soldier on Hadrian's wall? You are one already. You have been one for 3 years. Your name, in the Roman records, is a single Latin transliteration of a name from home, home being somewhere in what Rome calls Gallia Belgica, a place you have not seen since you were 17. Your fingers stopped gripping the spear shaft about 10 minutes ago. You can still feel your feet, but only because they hurt. The 2-hour shift has perhaps 40 minutes left, and you do not sit. If the Optio finds you sitting, you lose a day's pay. A day's pay, right now, is the only day this month you are going to clear a profit. The wall beneath your boots is approximately 6 feet wide at the top. In both directions it runs to the horizon, and there is nothing on the north side of it that wants you to stay healthy. You know this because the prefect's intelligence reports say so, and because on cold nights like this, you can sometimes hear things moving in the dark below the northern berm. You do not shout, you do not throw the spear. You stand, you wait. You try to remember what your hands feel like. This is the job. For most of a week on Hadrian's wall, the job is this: standing in the cold, watching nothing happen, trying not to do anything that will cost you money. Let's back up. Let's put you in this body properly, because the body matters. You are not a Roman citizen. You never have been. To be precise, you are an auxiliary Miles, a private soldier in a non-citizen cohort recruited from a conquered people and stationed at the empire's northernmost land frontier. Your cohort has Tungrian origins. The unit was formed from the Tungri tribe of what is now Belgium, though by the time you joined it, the men inside it came from a dozen different corners of the provinces. You joined because the recruiter came to your village, and the alternative was watching your family's farm fail from one bad harvest to the next. The deal was this: 25 years of service under Roman military command, and on the day you are discharged, if you survive, if you haven't been executed for desertion or killed on a redeployment north, you become a Roman citizen. Your children become citizens. Your name goes on a bronze diploma, and Rome acknowledges that you exist. You are 20 years old. You have been on the wall for 3 years. You have 22 left. Let that land for a moment. 22 years. The wall is cold tonight, and the wall will be cold on the night you are 42 years old, if the wall is where they still station you, and if you are still alive, and if you have not made the kind of mistake that gets your unit decimated, which is the technical military term for what happens when a unit is accused of cowardice or desertion. Every 10th man is beaten to death by his own comrades, chosen by lot. It does not matter which 10th you are. The point is that you become part of a process that could kill you, regardless of anything you personally did. The biggest threat on this wall is not the Caledonians. It's the institution that owns you. Now, morning. The relief comes at the 4th hour and you descend from the turret into the fort. Vindolanda, your posting, sits just south of the wall itself, a rectangular stone enclosure of perhaps 5 acres, home to 500 men, their commanding officers, the prefect's household, a bathhouse for the officers, and a laundry that smells like ammonia because it uses human urine to set the wool. The smell hits you within 20 feet of the gate. After 3 years, you no longer notice it in summer. In winter, somehow, it is worse. Breakfast is bread and something that was once a lentil. The bread comes from the communal oven, baked before dawn by the soldiers whose turn it is. The lentil situation is supplemented by whatever the unit has purchased collectively from the civilian traders who cluster outside the fort gate. Vicus, the settlement is called, a little strip of commerce that exists entirely because 500 men need things the army doesn't provide for free. And the army provides very little for free. This brings us to the pay tablet. At some point in your first weeks on the wall, you were handed something that looked, from a distance, like a good deal. 300 denarii a year. You had never seen 300 of anything. You held the figure in your mind, the way you hold warm water on a cold morning, carefully, trying not to spill it. Then the clerk read the deductions. Food levy, compulsory, gone. Clothing replacement, gone. Boot fund. Your left boot split on the march last month, and the army will replace it, but not for free, not for you. Gone. Arms maintenance, gone. Caius's burial fund. Caius was in your section. He died in September. The cold took him, or the fever the cold brought with it. The burial club is compulsory. You contribute whether you knew Caius well or not. You contribute because someday someone will contribute for you, and that is the only form of mortality insurance available on the northern frontier of the Roman Empire. When the clerk is done, what you hold in your hand is 11 denarii. 11. For the year, for everything that is not food or clothing or boot repair or death insurance, anything you want to buy from the traders, any cerveza from the officers' beer fund, any luxury that might remind you that you are a person with preferences rather than a unit of military capacity. The soldiers around you at the pay table are not surprised by this. Some of them have been here longer than you, and they simply nod and put the tablet down. One man, Marcus, from somewhere near the Rhine, been here 9 years, laughs, not bitterly, just a short breath of air that says, yes, this, again, every time, as expected. You learn to read that laugh over years. It means, the numbers are what the numbers are. There is no appeal. There is no magistrate who will hear your case. You signed the contract, and the contract is the contract, and the contract runs for 22 more years. 3 days after pay distribution, the century is called for a route march. 20 Roman miles. That is roughly 18.5 modern miles, which is, by any reasonable standard, a long way to walk. Now add the kit. The mail shirt goes on first. Lorica hamata for auxiliaries, iron rings linked together, approximately 15 kilograms of metal draped across your shoulders and chest. The shield, long oval, wooden core faced with leather, iron boss at the center, 4 kilograms. The spear, the sword, the dagger. The entrenching tools, because Roman armies build fortified camps when they stop, without exception, and the entrenching tools do not carry themselves. The personal rations for 3 days, the cooking pot, the total weight, adjusted and reconstructed by reenactors and archaeologists who have actually worn this kit and then tried to walk in it, comes to approximately 40 kilograms, 88 pounds. You carry this for 5 hours. The Roman military standard is 20 miles in 5 hours in full kit. Your feet know this standard intimately. Your shoulders know it. The place on your left collarbone where the mail shirt has been rubbing since mile 4 knows it as a specific, articulate, personal grievance. The soldiers of Rome called themselves Marius's Mules. The nickname goes back to the general Gaius Marius, who reformed the army more than 2 centuries before you were born and decided that the supply train was slowing everything down, so the men would simply carry everything themselves. His mules. You are one of them. You have been one of them for 3 years. You will be one of them for 22 more. The march takes you east along the wall, past 3 turrets and a mile castle, past a section where the stone is newer than the rest because something happened there that required rebuilding, and nobody has officially explained what. You do not ask. You fall in, you march, you fall out. The wall to your right, the Northumberland hills to your left, the sky a flat gray ceiling that has been the same color for 11 consecutive days. On the afternoon of the 4th day, you are assigned to the record-keeping detail. The prefect has letters to send south. You carry the writing tablets to the scribes and wait while they scratch the thin wooden leaves with iron styluses. One letter is from the prefect himself to a contact down in the south, requesting, among other supplies, more cerveza, beer. The frontier runs on beer. The water inside the fort is not always trustworthy, and the officers know it. The beer request goes in alongside requests for grain, nails, and replacement bridles. A second tablet, which you hold while the clerk copies it, contains a military intelligence report. The Bretons, the local tribes outside the wall, are, in the prefect's assessment, wretched little Britons. Brittunculi is the word, a contemptuous diminutive, like calling them tiny, pathetic Britons. The report notes that they are unarmored and that their cavalry is not worth serious concern. You are holding this tablet with fingers that have memorized the cold from 3 years of night watches, and you are reading, because you can read, the army taught you Latin for exactly this reason, a document that says, the people outside this wall are not a serious military threat. What the document does not say is what follows from that. If there is no serious threat out there, there is nothing to accomplish in here. There is nothing to advance toward. There is no enemy victory that will shorten your contract. There is only the 22 years, the march, the pay arithmetic, and the cold, and the wall, stretching to both horizons in the rain. You file the tablet. You eat. You sleep in a barrack room with 7 other men, all of them snoring at slightly different pitches. All of them, like you, somewhere inside a contract that will expire on a date so far away it barely feels like a real date. One man, Titus, been here 12 years, never talks about home, has a birthday invitation carved into a tablet by his bunk. It came 2 months ago from a woman named Claudia Severa, the wife of a commander at a neighboring fort. She is inviting the prefect's wife to her birthday party. It is a private letter, technically, but Titus found it in the wastepaper and kept it. He says it reminds him that the world south of the wall still contains people who have birthdays and invite their friends and write small, cheerful things on wooden tablets about hope and warmth and seeing you soon. On the 5th day, the order comes. The Optio reads it at morning parade, and you know from the way he holds the tablet, flat, voice neutral, no inflection, that the news requires that voice. The unit is being redeployed north. The Antonine Wall, 80 miles up into Caledonia, the shorter wall, the one Rome built in 142 and occupied, and then abandoned, and then occupied again, and then abandoned again. The one you were on during your 2nd year, the one where 2 men from your section didn't come back. The one that exists in a place that Rome keeps deciding to claim, and then keeps deciding it cannot hold. You pick up 40 kilograms and fall in. There is no ceremony for this. There is no speech about glory or empire. There is a logistics tablet, a departure time, and a road north that you have walked before and will probably walk again. The wall behind you, the wall you have stood on in the dark, the wall that has cost you 22 denarii in boot replacements in 3 years, is simply the last fixed point before the terrain gets uncertain. North of the Antonine Wall, the intelligence tablets stop being contemptuous. They start being careful. This is the part nobody puts in the histories. Not the battles. There is rarely a battle on the wall, and when there is, it tends to be brief and expensive, and not the kind of thing the surviving soldiers want to talk about. What fills the 25 years, what constitutes the actual texture of a Roman frontier career, is exactly this: the cold, the arithmetic, the letters requesting beer, the pay tablet with 11 denarii, the route march in a mail shirt, the redeployment order read in a flat voice, the barrack room at night. Most of the men who garrisoned Hadrian's wall in the 2nd century did not die in battle. They died of disease, of exposure, of the accumulated physiological cost of sleeping in barracks with 7 other men for a quarter century. Some of them made it. The discharge diplomas, bronze tablets recording the grant of citizenship, survive in museums and private collections, and they are documents of extraordinary plain language. This man served, this man completed, this man is now a citizen, this man's children are citizens. A few lines of Latin that represent 25 years of marches, and night watches and pay arithmetic and beer requests, and letters about birthday parties from women in warm houses who did not carry 40 kilograms anywhere. You do not know yet which kind of man you will be. You are 20 years old, and you have 22 years left, and tonight you will stand on another stone wall in another wind from the north, and the only thing you will know for certain is that the Optio is watching, and you cannot sit down. The wall stretches out on both sides. The dark comes early here, and somewhere in the Vicus to the south, a trader is measuring out cerveza into ceramic cups for soldiers with 11 denarii in their pockets and 22 years ahead of them, and it costs 1 denarius a cup, and some of them are doing the mathematics, and none of the mathematics comes out well. If you survive the wall, find out if you'd last a week on the streets of London during the 1348 plague. That one is linked right there.